moving pretty good for a 99-year-old World War II vet, isn't it? Welcome, student, staff, guests from the community, and especially our veterans who are joining us for this Veterans Day program. Throughout our nation's proud history, America's soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guard have answered the call of duty with unwavering courage. They have stood in defense of our freedom, lent their strength to our friends and our allies, and confronted those who would threaten peace and liberty. We can never fully repay the immense debt we owe to the more than 650,000 service members who have lost their lives in battle, nor the 1.4 million who were wounded in service to our country. Yet we can honor their sacrifice by expressing our deepest gratitude to the 18 million living veterans among us today. Their devotion, their courage, their patriotism continue to inspire us and remind us of the true cost of freedom. Please join me in a round of applause as we recognize all those who have answered the call to serve our great country. If everyone would please rise for the presentation of the colors by VFW Post 7929 and the American Legion Post 169 and stay standing throughout the Pledge of Allegiance.
Veterans, at the slow pace, forward, march. Left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left. Honor guard, halt. Post colors. Veterans, seats.
At this time, Amery High School senior Anna Williamson will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Choose.
Thank you, guys.
Seats.
You may be seated. At this time, we'll have our first musical selection by the Amery High School Choir under the direction of Mrs. Carrie Moskal, titled Inscription of Hope.
The Holocaust is a stunning reminder of the tragic results of prejudice and hate towards other people, but it is also a reminder that hope held firm will eventually reign victorious over the greatest of odds. The following words were inscribed on the walls of a cellar in Cologne, Germany, where Jews were hiding from the Nazis during World War II. Hope was all they had to hold on to. Hope was their only bridge to a brighter tomorrow.
Our speaker today is an Amery High School social studies teacher whose room is decorated with some very special uniforms from his grandfather's time in the military. He's going to share a few stories today which are probably similar to many to World War II vets. Join me in welcoming Mr. Luke Halverson.
Good morning. Thank you for being here to honor our veterans, the men and women who have worn the uniform of the United States Armed Forces, who have stood ready to defend the freedoms we enjoy today. Every day in my life has been positively impacted by veterans. As a social studies teacher, I spend a lot of time helping students understand history, the causes, the effects, the events, turning points. But Veterans Day reminds us that history lives in the stories of real people. For me, Veterans Day is about family, as my own family's story was shaped by veterans across generations. In the Civil War, my ancestors stood on the battlefields that determined the future of our nation, and some never made it home. In World War I, my great-grandpa, Corporal John Halverson, a farmer-turned-soldier, left his small hometown to serve in France and lead soldiers through the muddy trenches and relentless artillery fire. My great-aunt Esther was an Army nurse and was tasked with serving Dwight D. Eisenhower. In the Korean War, my grandpa, Orville Johnson, served in a frozen and brutal conflict that many people overlook, yet his sacrifice helped save millions of lives and protected the freedom of an entire nation. My stepfather-in-law, Mark Rinzel, served in the Navy aboard the submarine, the USS Brereton. And in Vietnam, my father-in-law, Les Tauschik, served during one of the most painful and controversial wars in American history. He still answered the call even when many soldiers came home to silence or criticism instead of gratitude. These men and women lived in different times, fought in different wars, faced different challenges, and served in different ways, but each carried the weight of sacrifice and service that allows us to experience the freedoms that we have today. For a few moments, I'd like to share about my grandpa, First Lieutenant Donald Halverson. He served in World War II, a member of what we now call the greatest generation. He was young, barely out of high school, when he found himself halfway across the world, facing challenges most of us can't imagine. He didn't talk much about his experiences like many veterans of his era, but when he did, it was never to brag or relive the battles. It was to remind us of the values that service taught him, values of duty, humility, and gratitude. To further tell his story, I'd like to take you into the cockpit of his B-17 plane. My grandpa served as a co-pilot in the 100th Bomb Group, 349th Squadron, stationed in Thorpe Abbott's airfield in England, just northeast of London. The 100th was one of the first U.S. bomber groups to carry out daylight bombing missions deep into enemy territory. They flew in broad daylight to strike military targets with greater accuracy. But daylight also meant the enemy could see them clearly, and German fighters hunted them, and anti-aircraft guns waited for them over every target. With no darkness to hide them, they flew straight into danger every single time. Their missions often lasted 8 to 11 hours. They flew at 25,000 feet where the temperature dropped to 40 to 60 degrees below zero. The planes were not pressurized, freezing wind blasted through bullet and flak holes. Oxygen masks could freeze to their faces. If a mask broke, a man might pass out and die within minutes. And they flew in tight formation, only feet from the next bomber because their combined firepower was their only defense. But if one plane was hit, it could collide with another and take two crews down at once. The 100th Bomb Group became known as the Bloody 100th because of how many men they lost. In the early months of combat, only 1 out of every 5 crews survived long enough to finish their mission tour. Some missions ended with almost no planes making it home. My grandpa flew 30 of these missions. When preparing for those missions, even before takeoff, there were moments of terror. On one occasion, my grandpa was assigned to fly a different B-17 while his plane was getting repaired. The day before that plane returned riddled with flak holes, the co-pilot who sat in his exact seat had been killed instantly when shrapnel tore through the cockpit and straight through the back of the seat. When my grandpa climbed into that bomber, the seat was still stained with blood. He knew that the last man who sat there never made it home, and he still buckled in and prepared for takeoff. That is what these men faced. not just in the air, but in their minds every single mission. One of the most terrifying experiences came on April 10, 1945, flying a B-17 they called Baby Sweet. Their formation was attacked by German jet fighters faster and deadlier than anything they had seen before. One engine was hit and burst into flames. Then their bombs became stuck and on one side of the plane, throwing the aircraft violently off balance. They were losing altitude fast and barely made it across the English Channel. They knew they could not make it back to base, and with no runway in sight, they were forced to attempt an emergency landing in an open field. The landing was brutal. The plane slammed into the ground and tore through the field, dirt and debris blasting through the fuselage. The wheels sunk, the aircraft jerked violently, and crew members were thrown around and tangled in their parachute harnesses as dirt poured in on top of them. Fire and smoke filled the cockpit. The main exit was jammed. My grandpa, the pilot, had to crawl out through a tiny side window to escape the burning plane. In the chaos, it looked like no one could have survived, and yet, miraculously, they did. And even after that, he climbed back into another bomber and flew again. He kept going until he completed all 30 missions with his crew intact. Unfortunately, the cost of war did not end when the mission was over. Freedom was not paid for in battle, it was paid every day afterward, as my grandpa and others tried to live with what they had seen, what they had lost, and what they had survived. My grandpa's story and the story of all veterans has shaped how I view service. Because being a veteran isn't only about what happens on the battlefield, it's about carrying that same spirit of service into everyday life. Many of our veterans come home and continue to serve as teachers, firefighters, nurses, coaches, mentors, community leaders. Their commitment to others doesn't end when their uniform comes off. Today, when we thank our veterans, we're not just saying thank you for your service as a formality. We're acknowledging that their sacrifices, often invisible, often ongoing, make it possible for us to live in a free and democratic nation. We're recognizing the courage it takes not only to go to war, but to come home and build a better place. At this time, I would like to recognize the veterans among us. If all veterans present would please stand and be recognized. We can give them a round of applause. To our students here today, I want to share a quick quote from my grandma. She wasn't a veteran, but she went to MIT and then she ended up working at an ammunition factory during the home front of World War II. And she would often write quotes down that just had meaning to her. And in one of her journals, and I love tennis, so this spoke to me. It said, "Life is like tennis. The one who serves well rarely loses." Students, throughout your life, if you prioritize serving others and putting others before yourself, you will win. Today, I hope you take this moment to think about what service means in your own life. Maybe you won't wear a uniform, but you can serve your community in countless ways. You can volunteer, you can stand up for someone who needs support. You can listen to a veteran's story to keep their story alive. Service at its core is about making something better than you found it without expecting something in return. To our veterans, those in this room, those watching from afar, those who are no longer with us, we say thank you. On this Veterans Day, thank you for your bravery, thank you for your resilience, thank you for your example of service. And on this Veterans Day, may we remember, may we learn, and most of all, may we carry forward the legacy of service that our veterans have given us. Thank you.
Now the Amery Band, directed by this Meredith Rhodes Lundgren, will play a musical selection entitled Marches of the Armed Forces. As has become our tradition here, we ask members of each branch to please stand when your song is played. we ask everyone to please stand for the duration of our program. The HS band will first lead us through the starting band.
Rifle squad, prepare to fire. Ladies and gentlemen, before me are the boots, rifle, helmet, and dog tags. This is the symbol of a fallen serviceman who has answered his country's call. This honor guard is made up of his comrades in arms. The veterans of foreign wars, the American Legion, we are proud to serve our country. Rifle squad, prepare to fire. Ready, aim, fire. Aim, fire. Aim, fire. Present arms. Color guard. Halt. Rifle squad, join them. Veterans, all in. At the slow pace, forward, march. Left, 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 right, left. Left, 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 right, left. Left, 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 right, left. Left, ready, halt. Colors all out. Veterans, ball out.
Another round of applause for our veterans.